Hello, welcome back to another Godzilla Battle Line video. Today we're going to be doing our Season 14 tier list. We have not done any ranked battles yet this season. I've had a very busy start of this month and haven't been able to get out many commentary videos, and I wanted to make sure I got my tier list out. You know, there's only about 16 days left in the season. I want to get this out as soon as possible to you guys, so don't worry, ranked battles are coming. But for right now, we're just going to jump right into our tier list, starting out with Fedora, who I'm going to put in A tier. So a lot of people may not know this, but Fedora actually just got buffed. Not really, but she had a bug fix where we've talked about this several times, where her passive damage just sucks. It doesn't do anything, right? Well, of course, it was a bug the whole time. Her passive damage was dealing level 1 Fedora passive damage at all ranks. Now it's going to be scaling, so if you have a level 30 Fedora, the damage on the passive is going to be way higher than before. It's pretty much a new ability that she never had access to unless you're like a level 1 player. Overall, it is great for her because when she dies, the acid pool does do a solid amount of damage. It's not like anything crazy, but it definitely contributes now to where it didn't before. And it kind of adds to her whole thing of just being an AoE nonsense damage dealer. You can Dimension Tide things closer to her now and just self-destruct her and have her explode. I don't know if it changes too much of her viability-wise, but she is like a bottom of A tier meta pick. 4 cost, not too hard of an evolution. She's pretty solid, nice AoE damage that she's got to her. Not bad at all. Next is Burning Godzilla, who we're going to put in B tier. Burning Godzilla is like Fedora, but for B tier, he's probably at the bottom. I am not high on Burning Godzilla at all. I honestly do not like most of the Godzilla 4 stars that are similar to Burning Godzilla. They're just very slow, they're not tanky enough, don't hit hard enough. Burning Godzilla has really long attack speed, and even if his explosion damage is amplified, you have to Dimension Tide things into it. And I feel like if you're Dimension Tiding things into a dead unit, that's just a dead push, where you can Dimension Tide things into other AoE units and then, you know, continue the push with your unit still alive. So overall, Burning Godzilla, I'm just not seeing it. I'm not really seeing it. Not like a horrible unit. Can do well in the low ranks if it's your highest level, but just not that impressive in the high ranks at all so far. Next is Kiryu, and Kiryu is going to be B tier. Put Kiryu a lot in A in the past. I dropped him in B last tier list. I still agree with that. Kiryu has weird problems because of the way he functions as a unit. You have to drop him. Well, you don't have to, but it's ideal that you drop him like towards the leader. So he just has a really good offense and a lackluster defense. And in the very high ranks, when people have very, high level leaders with over 10k health or 100k health, whatever it is, I think it's 10k, but it's a lot. So Kiryu has to do a lot more work on higher level leaders. He is 6 cost, and he isn't like super over leveled for most players. So Kiryu's still like a solid option, like really good at taking out Super X's, but Super X is kind of fallen out of the meta with Ultraman, which we'll talk about later. So I just think Kiryu's B right now. Not bad, but not amazing. Next is Ultima. My controversial unit. I don't know how it's come to this Ultima. I don't know why you're controversial with me. You've always been my boy back in Season 3 to Season 5, grinding me some wins. Always appreciated you, man. But I'm just telling how it is with you all the time. Still going to be an A tier pick though, because Ultima does tear up the lower ranks and the lower King of the Monster, Grand Champion. Ultima still tears because he is a single target sniper, but he does have a lot of damage behind him. And when you're in the middle ranks, this is for most players. So Ultima is great for like most normal players, nothing crazy leveled. If you have an Ultima at a very nice level like 5, it is definitely going to hit super hard. But Ultima lacks AoE options, He did get nerfed a couple seasons ago, and it didn't really affect him at the time. But as things have gotten buffed over time, Ultima is just kind of falling a little bit behind in being the powerhouse that he once was. Still a great unit though, still a great sniper, really good staller. Just not a fan of Terrestris at all. 6-cost evolution that isn't consistent, very risky. But if you can successfully evolve Terrestris, most of the time, it shouldn't be too bad. Ultima's a pretty good unit. You just got to keep him a lot safer because he is on the ground where flyers don't have to worry about that. So, Ultima, you're back in A tier. Good for you. Next is Fire Rodan, who is back in S tier. So Fire Rodan's a little bit on the hot seat, the S tier hot seat right now, with up and comers maybe dethroning him in some people's eyes. But Fire Rodan is still pretty nuts, and I think it's a little too early to demote him. The heal on leaders is insane. Psychic Course is not what it used to be, and Fire Rodan's heal is just a lot. It's just a massive dump on your leader of just graceful, delicious health points. And Fire Rodan as a unit, without the heal, still is a very nice 5-cost flyer, gives off a speed boost, hits pretty hard, and pretty tanky, honestly. If you look at Fire Rodan's health, he is pretty tanky for a 5-cost flyer. Nothing crazy, but his stats are just very well rounded. His attack speed is pretty low. I think it's 2.1 or 2.2, which is pretty fast. He's just a DPS machine paired with Batra, gets the damage boost, so he just hits really hard, has a lot of utility. Next is Helicopters, who will put in D tier. Helicopters is just pretty bad. You could make Helicopters work if they stall on something and you get a lot of them going. They could do a lot of damage, but they get one shot by anything. Any AoE like Fedora or Mecha King Fedora is just gonna body them. So most of the time, Airbase is, just for memes. If you like being like a military guy and you like taking people down with military units and you want to feel good about that because they're not very good, you're a baller. Just know that in my book. But overall, it's not that great. Next is Anguirus, who is a top of A tier, man. I love Anguirus, you guys. I love this dude. He is just unsung hero, man. He's in a lot of my ranked battle videos. He's become a very regular piece that I use in a lot of decks because he's just truly the best tank in the game. So easy to throw in at 4 cost. Helps defensively, helps offensively, helps you push, helps in so many scenarios. Anguirus is just a little freak in nature, man. The guy's a beast. I don't think he's overpowered, but I just don't think there's anything that's a tank in the game. I just think we need more tanks. I think we need more viable ground units. And Anguirus just fills that role after a lot of buffs. But yeah, love the dude. Throw him in, level him up. He's an awesome tank. Next is Batra, who we'll put right back in the top of S tier. Best unit in the game for several months. Batra is such a menace. Apparently some people don't think Batra is the best unit, or even S tier, or even A tier. I'm not speaking for, all you guys, but I have heard through the grapevine someone thinks that, and it just blows my mind. Batra is a freak. Flyer, attacks super fast, hits super hard, buffs everything else to make it hit super hard. Super easy evolution. There is not enough praise that you can give Batra. You have to put him in every deck if you're really trying to win. No matter what deck you're using, whether it's for fun or not, Batra makes that shit work so much better. He can buff your leader on defense. He's like the best defensive option in the game. And he's honestly probably the best offensive option in the game too. It might, come down to the wire later on, but Batra is just a freak of nature, and you should just throw him in. I don't think I got to talk about Batra. You guys know. Guy's just a crazy black moth demon thing, just coming at you, shooting purple laser beams. He's gonna hurt you. Next is Biolante, who we will put behind Anguirus. So I've been in a tug of war with Biolante, Anguirus. Which one's better? I think I've finally come to a conclusion. I do think Anguirus is better. Now, a lot of people are going to make the case, well, Biolante has AoE, does a lot more damage, one cost cheaper. How can you not go Biolante? I mean, those people might agree with me on like Tokyo, like maybe leave out Biolante for Anguirus, but I think Anguirus has a case for every map. He is just so much tankier than Biolante. I think my Biolante is level 14, my Anguirus is level 30. I'm pretty sure my Anguirus has 2000 HP on her, which is, you know, that's a lot, 2000 HP. So it's pretty much you're trading HP. Anguirus is the HP variant and Biolante is the damage AoE variant. And with most of the units being sky units that are very terrifying, Anguirus kind of just does better at soaking than Biolante does. Because if Biolante doesn't have anything to hit on the ground, she's just going to die. She's not that tanky. Biolante's main role is just to do a lot of damage. Anguirus' main role is to tank a lot of damage. Biolante at 3 cost is super flexible, but I think Anguirus at 4 cost is also very flexible. You can stall him on buildings. Dude's great. Biolante, I mean, they're universal. It's really like, do you want more health for a tank? Or do you want more damage to clear out swarms and do more ground AoE chaos? So it's really just a preference thing, and it could also be a preference on which map you're on. Both units are great, maybe even running both. You know, I tend to not run both of them, but I think they both have a very good place in the meta. Next is Stealth Bomber. We're going to put right back in D tier. Stealth Bomber is trash. I don't think it's good, and I just don't think you should use it. If you want to do like a military team, that's fine, but it's just not very good at all. It needs like an attack speed boost or a damage boost or something. It needs to be a lot more rewarding than what it is for 5 cost. It's definitely not worth it. It does not pull its own weight in the game. Next is Psychic Chorus, which we will put behind Kiryu. So Psychic Chorus I did put in A last season, so it's fluctuating a bit for me. I'm kind of finding the balance of Psychic Chorus where it fits in, and I do think it's more of a B tier thing now. It's just not as strong as a heal, and I feel like Fire Rodan just does so much better at healing your leader. Psychic Chorus can help for sure, but it's more like healing something that is not taking damage, and it's a lot more situational. You have to wait to drop it, and I just feel like it's, you know, it's not necessary in a lot of decks, and I feel like a lot of people have shifted away from it. It's better just to play smart than to depend on the small heal now, I feel. But if you don't feel like playing smart, you want to turn your brain off a little bit, throw on some Psychic Chorus heals on your dudes and let them go to town, let them go to town. Next is Descadora, who we will put between Bio and Hedora. So Descadora is very, very good. It just has a level issue where it scales monthly, and the only way you can get more is to buy packs, which most people don't do because they're trash, or save your G materials on them. Problem with saving your G materials on Descadora is that Mecha King Ghidorah exists and isn't like... Mecha King Ghidorah and Descadora are pretty universal. You know, they do perform differently, but you know, they're pretty great 7 cost flyer units, and if your Mecha King Ghidorah is already leveled a lot past your Descadora, it's really not worth to dump G-mats on right now, I don't feel. But if you are someone who has done that or want to invest in Descadora, it's going to be a great unit. It is very slow. It has the piercing range, which is going to take some time to get used to. It's a very different attack, even from Ultraman and Godzilla Earth. And Descadora does have a lot of things going for it. It's got the passive, it's got the stall potential, and it's got the AoE. So Descadora is just a pretty good unit. It's going to be level dependent, and yeah, you know, you gotta commit to Descadora if you want to see the most out of it. Next is Destroy Larva, which we'll put in C. I don't remember where I put it last time, but the swarms, honestly, I can't put them in D because they're not that bad. Like, they do contribute. Destroy Larva Swarm is the worst swarm in the game, in my opinion. They're way too bunched together and they die way too quick. They're way too susceptible to being one-shot by everything. And because of that, they don't have enough time to do damage. So they're just better off not running, in my opinion. You could maybe find success if they don't have any AoE, but honestly, I feel like Kamakura Swarm is probably a better option. You know, it's up to you. I mean, if it were up to me, don't use either of them, but you know, if you really like Destroya, maybe you can't wait for them because you're pissed you didn't get added to the game sooner. You know, rock some D-Larvas. You gotta use them on defense. They're pretty rough to use and die to anything that is AoE involved. Next is Dimension Tide, which we're gonna put in S tier. Kinda unfortunate timing with Dimension Tide being in S tier. We're actually gonna talk about it later, so I'll just leave it in there now and we're gonna come back to it later. Next is Dorats, which we're gonna put in C tier above the Destroy Larva Swarm. Dorats are flyers and are 3 costs, so the reason I rank them above them is not because they do more than Destroy Larva Swarm, it's because they're cheaper to play, and I think both are just not that great in general. So one being cheaper by 2 costs just makes it better in my opinion. And yeah, it's the reason that's like that. Next is Energy Base right behind Biolante. I think Energy Base is broken. If you know me, Energy Base is broken according to TS Dragon. So yeah, it's always my take. Sonde is going to go in C tier. I usually put it in B, but you know, honestly, you know, I think it's kind of a waste on most teams. I just do. You have to hold on to it. It's 2 costs. It's not very spammable. The slow isn't that great. Like, I don't think it's that game-changing where you're like, I need the slow right now. I need the slow or I'm going to lose the game. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think you're better off, like, trying something else instead of the Sonde slow. It's okay, but I just feel like it doesn't contribute enough to warrant a B tier anymore. Next is G21. We're going to put in C tier. So we're going to demote G21 because he's just not in the game. He's not really that great of a unit overall. I mean, as far as 4 stars go, with all the 4 stars they've added to the game, I think G21 is probably top 5 worst 4 stars. With Kong in there. Just with all these negatives, I just got to put G21 in C. No more pieces, people aren't using them, and if they are using him, they're higher ranking players. And if they're higher ranking players using him, he's probably underleveled at this point. So it's always not good for him. If you're looking to have fun with G21, he definitely can be used. He can win games. He does have the infinite attack that scales infinitely, so you can make it work. G21 is not like gutter trash useless D tier. He just has problems that are out of his control pretty much. Next is Kamakura Swarm, which we're going to put in C tier behind Dorats. Same thing as Destroy Larva Swarm. I just feel like they aren't very good. They don't pull their weight. They die to AoE. But I do think the Kama Swarm is a lot better than Destroy Larva Swarm because they are harder to kill. And there's 7 of them. So I appreciate their defensive value a lot more than Destroy Larva's ability to hit air. Next is Kamakaris. We're going to put right behind Energy Base right here. Kamakaris is a great support at all levels. It's pretty much a 3-hit meat shield, possibly 6. Susceptible to AoE, but it's very low risk, high rewards, so it just fits into a lot of decks. It's not going to win you the game and push onto their leader and do a lot of damage, but it can help you defensively to where you can do that with your other units. So Kamakaris is pretty much always going to be A until like something new that is 2 cost comes along to steal its role, because it's just dominating that role. Next is King Caesar, who we'll put behind Descadora. So King Caesar is great. If you know me, I love King Caesar, but he does have problems where, you know, Anguirus can tank him. He just gets popped by like a lot of things because he has 2000 HP and he is hard. He does take skill to get going because of how easily he can be countered. You have to play very, very smart with him. So if you're a genius like me, you can get a lot out of King Caesar. But if you're a poopy, stinky doo-doo head who likes to just, you know, throw King Caesar into nothingness, just a sea of buildings and just say, good luck, you know, whatever happens, happens, he's probably not going to do too good. But, you know, King Caesar, like I said, is the highest initial damage in the game. His charge is real. He may be a 2-star, but the dude hits hard as hell. So, you know, I can't say any more about King Caesar. Dude hits hard and hits hard fast. Next is Markalite Cannon. We're gonna put in C tier above Dorat. It does good damage. It just doesn't have that high a range for being a stationary thing. Maybe it should do more damage because it usually only gets off one attack. I don't really know how you balance Markalite Cannon because it's never really been meta in, you know, top play from when I've played the game. A lot of the military stuff really isn't, but you know, I don't think Markalite Cannon is horrible. Maybe it could be a B tier if more people used it and like tried to work around it, but it, you know, it does have problems for sure. M-Bob base, I'm gonna put in C tier right behind G21. M-Bob base is like, it can work, but when it doesn't, it's useless. So I just gotta put it in C tier. It is like the most fun you could have out of the military units, and it can contribute the most. And you can get some nasty, cheesy wins with it. But the odds of that happening is totally like RNG based on what the other guy has in his deck. Like, it is like not a good strategy. It is almost like you're just hoping to run into someone who doesn't have AoE or like train bomb, so you can just stun lock their Godzilla or whatever's coming at you and counter push super hard. It's okay. Next is normal M-Boss. We're gonna put behind Sunday above Markalite. That sounds pretty good. They are considerably worse than the M-Bob base because they don't provide as much value while also not being that good. So 3 costs, you might think it's cheaper, but I mean, having all those M-Boss is like a way more beneficial thing than just 2 M-Boss ever out on the field. It can stun lock some things, but most of the time they're gonna die to enemy support before they can finish off anything. It's just not worth on most teams, and I honestly never see them. Could be D tier, that's how much I never see these things. Mechagodzilla, I'm gonna put behind Sunday right there. Let's move this up. Mechagodzilla is just he's just bad. I don't know, he could be pretty decent as you're climbing. You don't have a lot of options. Maybe you overleveled Mechagodzilla, think he's doing well, but this dude is just, I feel like he's not good at all. He doesn't excel at anything. His stats are very mediocre and he's super basic. Like super basic, nothing. He's just a walking pile of scrap metal that doesn't have any additional effects. His stats are lackluster, doesn't have high range. He's just so like middling with no extra bonuses that it just makes him bad at this point. It's become to a point where you need to be buffed. You are not performing at all in the high ranks, like at all, like bad. It's the worst it's ever been for Mechagodzilla. Next is Mechagodzilla. Sometimes you say Mechagodzilla, you know, it just flows in there right after the Mechagodzilla, but Mechagodzilla is B tier behind PC. Mechagodzilla is just so, just very middling now. It just, you know, it gets countered by Fire Rodan speed boost now. Psychic Chorus isn't keeping Mechagodzilla alive, so she's not able to do as much damage and make great use of her attack and attack speed like she used to. So she's kind of just reserved for a defensive role now, and there's things in the game that can do it better. Like Kamakaris honestly could do her job. If you need to stop a G89, King Caesar, something coming at your leader, put down Kamakaris over Mechagodzilla, 3 less cost, a lot easier to run, and Mechagodzilla isn't doing much for you offensively anymore, so she's still solid. You know, don't get me wrong, she has access to G89 boost and can perform on offense, but it's just not as good as what it used to be. Next is Manila, who we'll put right here. Manila's just a little guy running around, waddling, shooting out little smoke circles. The thing with Manila, the more you play, the worse he gets. I think he's great. You know, if you're like a month in, 2 months in, maybe even 3 months in, Manila might just be doing great for you. I used to use Manila a lot. He has experienced a couple nerfs, and honestly, it's not like, I don't know, He probably shouldn't have got some nerfs that he's gotten the past couple months, but I think, it hasn't really affected him. He just sits in B tier for like high level play. He doesn't contribute enough at 2 cost, and I just don't think his value is there. But if you do throw him in, it's not like he's hurting you in a negative way. He's always contributing. It's just how much of that contribution is gonna net you a win. Next is Missile Strike. We'll put right in D tier. Missile Strike is just trash train bombs at this point. There's really 0 point to use Missile Strike. It is outdated by Train Bomb, which came out at the same time the Missile Strike came out. So it's just a dead in the water unit. Don't ever level it. It's just a waste of gold. Level up Train Bomb. Unless you really like and if you're just obsessed with, phallic shaped objects and you want to go Missile Strike, okay, that's you. But Train Bomb is a lot better. So, take the train. Next is Mogira, who we'll put in B tier. I'm thinking right behind Kiryu because they are very similar. Just a very bad defensive phase and a pretty good offensive phase. Mogira likes to go for energy bases, but Train Bomb is a lot better now. So, Mogira is just kind of a middling unit, in the B tier. I still think B tier is pretty solid and you're going to run into it, but I just don't think it's contributing as much. Still can net you wins, but, Mog's always been what it's been. It's just its role has diminished a little bit just due to Train Bomb being so easy to run at 3 costs. Next is Mothra Leo, who we'll put right here between Kamakaris and Fedora. So Mothra Leo just got absolutely massive buffs, like mega mondo massive buffs to all of his stats. When honestly, I don't think he needed it. He was pretty good. But with that said, Leo does face very hard counters to where I don't know if Leo can ever really be S tier. Let me explain. Like, if he's paired with units like Batra, Rodan, those can make up for his mistakes. But by himself, as like an S tier unit, too many things can eat his charge. He is great though. Like, don't get me wrong. Leo is just fantastic. He's the best he's ever been. But I don't think he's better than Batra or Rodan, and that's kind of what that's what's netting him the S or A tier nod. It's like, can you fit into that deck? And I just think Rodan, Batra's the best. Like, let's not even put that in the conversation. But I think Rodan is still better than Mothra Leo, just because of the utility Rodan can give you. And Mothra Leo doesn't have a good defense phase. And Mothra Leo is countered by Rodan, because if Mothra Leo charges into Rodan, it's going to kill him every time and heal the leader more than Mothra Leo is going to do. So, for that reason, Mothra Leo is an A tier. It could be a little higher. Things are probably going to shift around. But Mothra Leo is very, very strong, and I think is the, one of the stronger carry flyer options in A tier, for sure. Next is Mothra. We're going to put behind Mechagodzilla. Mothra has pretty much a shitty evolution. Mothra larva takes too long. That's kind of like her movies. It takes a long time for Mothra to show up. You got to see the little poop caterpillars, squirm around. But I don't think Mothra deserves to be shafted just from her evolution time. She is pretty solid. You can combo her with Dimension Tide because she has AoE. But she is pretty frail. I mean, she's not like super frail, but she's not the tankiest. Has short range. So pretty much every other flyer can body her for the most part. But she does do more DPS than them over time. So, B tiers have a lot going for them still. I feel like there's good qualities to them, but they are just outmatched or can't do something that the A or S tiers can do. Like, they can't survive as well. They can't survive well enough or can't DPS as well. So Mothra is like the perfect example of like never bad. I don't think anyone thinks Mothra's bad, but I don't think anyone thinks Mothra's great. She just is there kind of just doing her thing. Sometimes she can do really well. Sometimes she just gets bodied. It's kind of the life of Mothra for the past couple seasons. Next is Rodan 64. We're going to put behind Mechagodzilla. Same exact boat as Mecha G. They're just so outdated at this point, have no bonuses to them. Their stats are very lackluster. Rodan just dies to anything. So whatever problems I just said for Mothra, Rodan has those problems even worse because his range is shorter and his health is lower. So just dying to other flyers insanely fast. Next is Space Godzilla. We're going to put behind Mog. So Space G is kind of just the B tier, chilling in B tier. Has to deal with Biolante, has to deal with train bombs now. Godzilla Earth and Ultraman, and Space Godzilla is always annoying if you're playing against him, but it's hard to get him to push, and ever since Psychic Chorus got nerfed, Space Godzilla has not been able to push nearly the same. So I just feel like Space G is just a B tier pick, and I don't think he does super well in the low ranks either, so he's kind of just very middling, maybe in need of a buff. Space Godzilla, I think, would be a very nice 5-cost unit, but we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Maybe they like how he is. I don't think he's bad. He's definitely usable, but it would be nice to see Space Godzilla, rise a little bit above the crop like he used to back in season 4 days when he first emerged from. He used to be so garbage, and then season 4 came. He actually was pretty good. And that's, how he's been since, pretty much from his Season 4 version. Next is Train Bomb, right behind Energy Base. Train Bomb, Energy Base, yin and yang. Train Bomb's 3 cost. It has multiple uses outside of taking Energy Base, even if they don't run it. But Energy Base is broken and very easy to run, so, I opt to just throw that in instead. But Train Bomb is, same exact tier of usefulness. They're both they're just in a lot of decks. You're going to see those a lot. Next is G89. We're going to put right in front of Manila. Yeah, in front of Manila. No, not there. Right there. So G89 kind of keeps falling. He's just, he is a stat stick. He's just a huge stat stick that hits hard and is pretty tanky. But because Batra buffs things all the time, Godzilla 89 always has to deal with buffed enemies just hitting him that he can't hit back. They can stall on him, and even if he can get through that, he could be stopped by Kamakaris or Jaguar, maybe even Mechagodzilla. There's just a lot of things that can counter G89, and I think it's just because he's so old and such a powerhouse that from a design standpoint, they're just going to design things to do well into Godzilla 89. And even with Mothra heal, Gigan Rush, it's just not even pulling its weight, not even how it used to. And I know Mothra Leader was way under the radar back when I was using it in season 5 and 6, and I don't even think it's performing as well now. So yeah, G89 just isn't doing too hot, but he still hits like a truck, very tanky, so you got to respect him and at least put him in B tier. I don't think he'll ever drop below that. Next is Super X, which is not in S tier for I think the first time ever in my tier list. I never even realized that, but that's kind of crazy. So what knocked Super X out? Ultraman, which we'll talk about later. But Super X, it might even drop lower because of how things are going to be shifting. Super X gets killed by Dimension Tide and any piercing very easily. So Super X has a lot of problems with Ultraman and Godzilla Earth, and anything that has AoE piercing that has good range, Super X is just dying to it in one shot paired with Dimension Tide, and it's kind of taking its viability down. But at the end of the day, Super X is kind of broken. It has the highest range in the game, very good DPS, very good stalling potential, still the best stalling potential in the game. And I don't know if it's going to go back to S tier next season. I don't know if it's going to keep dropping. It's in a very suspect spot right now, but just out of respect for this POS ship, I'm just going to put it in top of A right now. It's going to sit right at the King's Throne, top of A tier. Next is Showa Gigan. I'm just going to put it at the bottom of C, man. I don't think Showa Gigan is that bad now that I've leveled him up. He does do good DPS, and if you are fighting against like a 4-star leader, he can chunk that thing down pretty quickly if left alone. And that's a lot more than I could say for, you know, Stealth Bomber. And yeah, I just feel like Gigan at least can do some damage. Like he can do work if they don't touch him, which I think at least warrants C tier for him. Next is Jet Jaguar Singular Point. We'll put right behind Godzilla 89. So this is what I'm gonna say about Jet Jaguar. With Super X falling out of the meta, what I said before, Jet Jaguar has a chance. Singular Point anyways, not other Jet Jaguar, that's trash. But Jet Jaguar Singular Point has a chance to rise up if Super X keeps dropping down. Because honestly, Jet Jaguar does, I think, pretty well into Ultraman and Godzilla Earth. I think he might do very, very well. And especially into Godzilla Earth, because he could tank 2 shots, which is it's a big problem for Godzilla Earth to deal with. But if Super X, you know, starts sliding out of most decks, Jet Jaguar, watch out for that dude. Next is Kong. We're gonna put in C tier. So Kong is the same thing as G21. Not a great 4-star overall. Out of the game for several months. Big investment if you want to put GMATs into him. Overall, it's probably not worth it. If you want to do it from like a collector standpoint, have fun with the game, of course. They're not that bad. But overall, they're not worth putting any higher than C, respectfully. Next is G54. A lot of people are higher on G54 than I am, especially over Burning Godzilla. I view them kind of similarly, but a lot of people will like vouch for G54 and think he's better by a large margin due to his transformation and just his stats in general for a 6 cost. I can see it, but it's going to take time for that to develop. For G54 to really make himself meta, those evolutions have to have a plan. They have to have a solid push behind them. It has to have a deck that works well with every evolution possibility. And like, you don't want to be in a situation where G54 transforms into Kiryu and you're getting rushed and you have nothing. And if it turned into Burning Godzilla or G89, it would have helped you. You know, you don't want to be in those RNG situations, which I think is just a huge downfall. But G54 is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take, you know, getting all his evolution pieces, you know, at least level 10 for like a high ranking perspective. And I don't think he's too bad. I'm higher than him on Burning Godzilla, but yeah, if you're going off of like what other people are saying, G54 has a lot more potential than Burning Godzilla overall. Next is Gigan 04. We're going to put behind Mothra. So Gigan is kind of just going to be chilling in B tier till I see more people use him. I've seen very high level people. Shout out to Administration 1. Know that dude kicks my butt a lot on the channel, but he's a very cool guy, great dude. And him trying out stuff at like max levels is honestly like really good for me and you guys, because it, you know, tells us how things are going to perform. Whether you know, like playing him or not. But, you know, it's using that Gigan at level 30, it does massive damage. Like, that thing's coming at me, and I'm like, dude, I don't got answers for this thing. It is just going to come in, swing at least, you know, 4 times, and it's going to chunk super hard. But overall, like normal Gigan, it's, you know, if I find him a little too frail to contribute, and because he zips around the map at various angles, he is, you know, very susceptible to taking damage, so he might need a, you know, a nice health boost. His DPS is there. This guy does damage. That's, you know, that's not an issue. And he attacks twice per attack, so his attack is double of whatever you're reading for your Gigan right now. It is double that. That's what he's going to be hitting for each, you know, animation. But, you know, Gigan's going to be good. Not seeing too much yet, but high hopes for him. Next is Kidship. Worst unit in the game, I think. And I don't even think it's just... I don't even know if it is the worst unit in the game. I think the player base without saying a word to each other, has just come together telepathically and said, we're not going to use this thing because the cost is too damn high. These prices are too damn high. 6 cost is too much. I ain't paying for it. Just to teleport me like 3 spaces ahead, dude. It needs to be like 4, 3, something that makes it, like it's not carrying me, it's disappearing right after. And it's just useless, man. I don't know how long it's going to take them to change the cost, but it needs to happen. Next, going into S tier, holy mamma jamma, Godzilla Earth is here. Yeah, maybe controversial, but let's get into it. Godzilla Earth has been in the store now. He's become purchasable. He's getting a lot higher levels. And once this dude hits level 10, he is a freak. He is a goddamn freak. If you've been leveling your Dimension Tide paired with Godzilla Earth, it is truly a one-man army and the strongest thing in the game. Like, I will tell you right now, choose to believe me or not, Godzilla Earth Dimension Tide is gonna melt things. It is gonna melt things. And if your Godzilla Earth is level 10, eventually, I don't think level 10's that hard, you guys. I don't think it's that hard to do. I'm not saying you're gonna get it, overnight or in a month. But if you're playing the game and that's your goal, I think level 10's a solid goal for a 4-star that you're using on your main team. But like 5 to 10, that range, I think Godzilla Earth is performing. If you have Dimension Tide leveled to 20, maybe 30. I got mine at 30. I just dumped. And pairing my level 11 Godzilla Earth with level 30 Dimension Tide is hitting so hard. It's nukes, you guys. It is nukes. It is chaos. It is pandemonium. And you can try rushing the other side on Godzilla Earth. But if that doesn't work, you are going to get pushed on so hard that it can lose you the game. Whether you're like a max rank player or you're, just climbing into King of the Monsters. Godzilla Earth is a huge threat, and we got to start documenting it. We got to start putting him in S tier. I don't know if it's a bug. I'm going to be doing a lot of gameplay videos with Godzilla Earth soon. I got that new skin. I'm about to show off some skins for you guys. But he is just massacring things, and I don't know. Like, he is hitting so hard to where I'm shaking my head in disbelief. I'm just like, what am I watching? Like, I swear I saw my Godzilla Earth one-shot a King Caesar. I don't know if it's a bug, because he normally should not do that. But I'm seeing some crazy things. And if he is bugged this season, he's going to be an S tier. I don't know if it has to do with the star rank or what, but the dude's just hitting crazy hard. Even if you have him at, if you get him to level 5, I think he's worth trying out if you have leveled your Dimension Tide. I think people are scared because he's slow. He takes a while to get going, but if you really get used to him and pair him with Dimension Tide and get the combo down, he can wipe whole teams by himself. Definitely should be investing in Godzilla Earth. Great unit. Might not be for everyone. Might not fit everyone's playstyle. But once you run into a level 10 Godzilla Earth or higher, you're going to see what I'm talking about. It is a immovable wall. It's like just an impenetrable wall that you got to get through. Let's drop to the opposite side of the spectrum and drop Mr. Jaguar, Mr. Karate Chop Action down in D tier, man. I honestly think Jet Jaguar at level 15 for a 4-star is probably worse than Gigan at level 30 as a 3-star. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't provide offense. It doesn't provide defense. It doesn't do anything unless you're fighting a G89 or an Anguirus. And even then, it takes him so long to take those things out. And he's pushing them away. It's just, everything's so counterintuitive with this unit. It is truly a clusterfuck of epic proportions. Excuse my French. But, I mean, it's almost a disgrace to Jet Jaguar. If you think Jet Jaguar is a knockoff of Ultraman, this game really puts it into your head that he is a knockoff of Ultraman, because he's garbage while Ultraman is kicking ass in his first month. But moving on, Jet Jaguar does not deserve that much time, even though you do, because you are the Jet Jaguar, but your unit unfortunately does not represent you very well. Next is Mecha King Ghidorah, who has been in the hot seat lately, and we're going to put Mecha King Ghidorah up in A tier, right above Death Ghidorah. I think Death Ghidorah and Mecha King Ghidorah are universal if they are closer in level. let's say they're both level 10, I would probably opt to use Desghidorah. But with Mecha King Ghidorah being in the game longer, and just having probably a higher level overall for most players that have played the game since launch, for sure, Mecha King Ghidorah is just a better option. On evolution, now that it dies on evolution, it kind of fixed everything I ranted about. It still, it still deserved the rant because the way they handled this Mecha King Ghidorah, voice crack again. Tier list videos, man, gotta get one in there. Also forgot my water, I'm quite parched, but the show must go on. Mecha King Ghidorah's death on evolution helps him so much. Like it helped Fire Rodan. It turned Fire Rodan from a, bottom of B tier, maybe even top of C tier for some people, into a straight up bona fide S tier. Mecha King Ghidorah is not getting that same treatment because, he's a little different. 7 cost, so it's a way bigger. If you look at the tier list now, everything above him is 5 cost or below. That is what the meta has come to, is 5 cost or below spam, because, Godzilla Earth, ignore him, He's the anomaly because he's just a powerhouse. But everything is so, there's so many good things at 5 cost, especially like flyers, that Mecha King Ghidorah really has to be pulling his weight to be doing better than those guys at 7 cost. He does, hit hard, and he does pull his weight enough to be like a middle of A tier right behind Leo. I think pretty solid unit that if you are a King Ghidorah fan, I think Mecha King Ghidorah is probably the best he's been since he came to the game. For Mecha King Ghidorah anyways, not, old King Ghidorah, but even with the old attack speed on the old Mecha King Ghidorah, the evolution was so hard that having him die on evolution, even with the nerfed stats, is way better if you followed that. So I think Mecha King Ghidorah is the best he's been since he's been added as an evolution to normal King Ghidorah. And if you like the unit, go ahead and use him. Now's the time. I've been using him with Godzilla Earth, and it has been fun. It has been fun. I don't know if it's, the best team I could be running, because Mecha King Ghidorah is 7 cost, but it's a lot of fun. I like seeing Mecha King Ghidorah. Cool unit. Next is Shin Godzilla, who is going to go bottom of B. I think Shin is probably the worst 4-star they've added other than Jet Jaguar, which is funny because they're back-to-back. The problem with Shin Godzilla is the developers built in a thing on Shin Godzilla to make him bad. His normal attack on ground units makes him bad. It is a horrible attack. It lingers. So the startup time is actually pretty quick. But if you notice, the attack just lingers for so long. His tail just stays there. And it makes his attack speed super long because I'm pretty sure it's a bug. Because you can just tell, like, the attack animations just look weird on some units. That is one of them for sure, where I think Shin Godzilla has that problem. But if Shin Godzilla has his AoE, he is pretty solid. I think they should just switch Shin Godzilla to have the AoE at all times. Or, I get why they did it, but his stats need to be way higher, like just an insane freak of nature if he's going to have that big of a downfall included into his kit. And it is holding him back right now severely. Very curious to see how they're going to adjust that as, the game develops. Shin Godzilla is still very early on in his development cycle. Well, not development cycle, but his game life on GBL. So, buffs could be coming very soon, and I'm sure they will be. Next is Naranga, who we're going to put top of B. Not because he deserves it yet, but because it's just out of respect. After analyzing Naranga, he looks very, very promising. Mechagodzilla stats, pretty much. Not super impressive, right? But what did I say was the problem with Mechagodzilla? He has nothing going for him outside of the stats that aren't that good, right? Well, Naranga does. It has a cloak, invisibility, and it has a stun on his attack, which is, amazing. That's an amazing quality to have. But with Naranga, it's all going to come down to how well he can stun lock units and for how long. And that stuff's like, that's in the trenches, You're not going to know until you're in the game. Like, I've done the showcases and I've seen what he can stun lock, but you're not going to know till you're in the game playing in the trenches and seeing how the fights actually go down. So So Naranga could be a B tier unit, or he could be a top of A tier unit. Really don't know yet. It's going to take a lot of play testing, and it's going to take some time for Naranga to get those levels. Because if the level boost for 3 stars is just stupid, why is it level 10? Come on, devs, come on. You made the game. You know how the scaling works. A 4-star level 10 is just nothing. It's like a god, like a literal god compared to a 3-star at level 10. It is not even close. Naranga should be level 20 or level 25 if Ultraman's level 10. That's how it should be for sure. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, so we're not able to playtest Naranga at all in ranked. But from what I've seen, he's very promising. Definitely, I wouldn't say invest in him because, you don't really have an option. You either pull him from a pack or you don't. But if you do pull him from a pack, I would, dump gold into him and test him out. It's going to take a while. Like for me, 3 stars aren't usable till they're level 30 when I'm playing, or like 25 at the very least. 20 at the very, very least. But 25 if we're being like realistically at the very least trying to win. Yeah, it's going to take time, but I think he's really solid. Last but not least, brand new Ultraman, saving you for the very last. If you made it all the way to the end of the video just for Ultraman, you're a trooper. You're a godsend. I welcome you to TS Dragon community. You're an official Dragonite. Boom, Ultraman, where is he? Oh, TS Dragon puts him in S tier, god damn it. He might be right. TS Dragon might be right, you guys. This Ultraman dude is absolutely bonkers. Obviously, he's going to be S tier this season due to the level boost, especially in the lower ranks. I saw last season, lower ranked players were climbing with Shin Godzilla as their highest 4-star due to the level boost and thinking Shin Godzilla was good. And then they get Ultraman and they're like, dude, F Shin Godzilla. Let me just wipe my butt with him and throw him out the window over my shoulder. What's this Ultraman dude I'm seeing? Because this is what, this is what a carry is supposed to look like. This is what a new addition, new game-changing meta unit. Haven't had it in a while. A lot of people are kind of upset and think Ultraman is a little bit pay to win. But getting pieces in this game is not hard. It might take a little longer for some people, but it's not super hard. You're going to get them in like a month or 2 if you keep playing, keep trying to open maps. You're going to get them. After the season drops, he will probably drop back down to like more of like maybe bottom to mid A depending on his level, maybe even lower, because levels are very important for success of a unit, and level 10 is definitely contributing to his success. And he's just a freak, man. Paired with Dimension Tide, the piercing, he stays out of leader range. For most good leaders, they did buff some leaders, but those leaders suck anyway, so people aren't going to use them. Great paired with Godzilla Earth because they both stay out of leader range, and he's just a great unit. He takes out Super X super well because you can Dimension Tide things into him. He's gonna one-shot Super X. Ultraman is just really, really good. Just a very solid. The only thing Ultraman has that's not great is his attack is kind of low, and his attack speed is 2.7. So he isn't like a DPS machine. But if you pair him with Dimension Tide, he's going to be hitting like several things at once. So that damage is going to make up for it. And he is pretty tanky. Like you would think he'd hit harder and be less tanky, but he's actually a pretty tanky dude for a 5-cost flyer. And his attack isn't super high. But it is high enough to where, he definitely puts in work. And the dude is a freak of nature. At least to A tier pick for like the rest of the game's life, unless something crazy happens or he gets nerfed. He's really good, and if you're looking to invest in a new 4-star, maybe you don't like any of the ones added, maybe you're a huge Ultraman fan and you've been waiting for this your whole life because you got no Ultraman games. Ultraman is the dude. Naranga is pretty good too. Get both of them. Try to, invest in them. They're awesome units. I'm sure I'll have a lot more to say about Ultraman, and we'll be doing him in the ranked battle video, I'm sure very soon, as soon as we can. It's very hard for me to get time to do commentary as of late. But that is the tier list, I believe. Yeah, that's everything. Let me know what you guys think. I feel like a pretty good tier list overall. Pretty good. I like
the meta this season. I do. It is shifting. Ultraman, set things in motion. I think different things are coming along. Mothra, Leo, and Mechagodzilla got nice buffs, so they're just seeing more play in general, while still not being S tier. I like the shift. I like new units being good. Some people don't like it. I think it's a little too strong for Ultraman to be reckoned so early. Personally, I love it. I love the change up. It feels nice to have a refreshing units that actually contribute. Shin Godzilla was just trying to contribute, and don't even get me started on Jaguar. That dude was not contribute. He was not there. He was absent. He was late for work by like 2 years. But yeah, that is the tier list video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below anything you want. Let me know what you're thinking this season, what you'd change. Maybe you think something should be A tier, that should be B tier, something should be C tier. Let me know. We'll have a discussion about it. Always love to talk, friendly discussion. But with that said, I'm gonna let you guys head out. I got stuff I gotta do. Have a good rest of your day. Take care. Be safe out there. Bon voyage. Au revoir. I don't know. I don't speak French.